Hi guys, so Arlene Foster has been the leader of the Democratic Unionist Party for a number of years now, and she has finally been forced out by the extremists within her party. Now let's hear what she had to say about standing down. I'm not going to show you the entire video, I just want to show you part of it. But then I'm going to get to, in a moment, a possible replacement for Arlene Foster, who is actually more extreme than she is. So let's hear what she had to say.
Good afternoon. A short time ago, I called my party chairman to inform him that I intend to step down as leader of the Democratic Unionist Party on the 28th of May and as the First Minister of Northern Ireland at the end of June. It is important to give space over the next few weeks to the party officers to allow them to make arrangements for the election of a new leader. And when elected, I will work with the new leader on transition arrangements. As First Minister, it is important that I complete work on a number of important issues for Northern Ireland alongside other executive colleagues. Northern Ireland and its people have been heavily impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic, and there remains more work to do in order to steer us through the pandemic and to lessen its impact on the lives of everyone. It has been the privilege of my life to serve the people of Northern Ireland as their First Minister and, of course, to represent my home constituency of Fermanagh and South Tyrone.
Okay, I'm not going to go into much more detail here. Basically, the video, and I'll leave a link in the description, is her just continuing to talk about what she has done for Northern Ireland, the ups and downs. But what's glaringly obvious from this video is that she avoids talking about the elephant in the room. Brexit. She doesn't talk about Brexit in her speech. She mentions the protocol, but she doesn't talk about Brexit. Now, how did we get to this point? The DUP is a hard right party in Northern Ireland. It was founded by Ian Paisley Sr. and it's a party of no. We don't want progress. We don't want any association with the Republic of Ireland. We want to move away from the European Union. It's a very particular party. It's an extreme right party, a religious party, and a very backward-looking party. Now, Arlene Foster is considered a moderate within the party, although she would be not considered in any way moderate in the rest of the UK. She would be considered right or even far right. Now, so how did we get to this? Brexit, when Brexit came along, the DUP supported it. They campaigned for Brexit in Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland voted against leaving the European Union. The majority in Northern Ireland voted to remain. The DUP were on the wrong side there. But the DUP believed that with Brexit, it would stop or at least kick the can further down the road of a possibility of a united Ireland. Because their fear is that if a united Ireland comes about, them as a party would become irrelevant. So, once again, I struggle to truly believe whether these people really care about the union or is it just about themselves. Because if you cared about the union, you would not have supported Brexit. And I've talked about this before, and I don't want to go over old ground, but when it came to Northern Ireland, there were three possibilities. There was a border on the island of Ireland, a border in the Irish Sea, or the entire UK, Great Britain and Northern Ireland remaining part of the single market and the customs union. Now, this was a possibility when the DUP were lending support to Theresa May's government, but they didn't want that. They wanted Brexit. What their hope was that the UK as a whole would leave the single market and the customs union. This would mean there would have to be a border. And their hope was that a border would be put on the island of Ireland. They didn't care about the consequences of that. They didn't care about the possibility that this would bring back Republican violence, because they saw it as an opportunity. It was, in a sense, they were getting two things at the same time. What they were doing was they were getting a border on the island of Ireland, which would kick the can or perhaps even stop the possibility of a united Ireland. And at the same time, it would create greater tension in Northern Ireland and drive more Unionists to their cause, because at the moment they understood that the more normal the situation becomes in Northern Ireland, the less people are likely to vote for extremes. And the DUP is an extremist party. As people get on with their lives, people become more moderate. As Northern Ireland becomes more moderate, more and more people who would be considered moderate unionist or unionist would prefer to vote for the Alliance Party, a more centrist party, and not the DUP. So the DUP understood that we need a tense situation. We need to create division because this helps us. Now, by supporting Brexit, they made two mistakes. First of all, they believed that the Good Friday Agreement would be thrown in the bin. They also supported and believed in Brexiteers like Boris Johnson. They believed that Boris Johnson cared about the union. They believed the lies of Boris Johnson. And this is something I really struggled with, because I've said in the past how if you're not an expert on something, it's easy to be conned. For example, if you call a plumber, the plumber comes to your house, this person is not certified, they're not a real plumber, but they start to do work on your house. You're not in a position to actually criticize the work because you're not a plumber yourself. If a politician is listening to the likes of Boris Johnson, this is their job. The DUP are politicians, or made up of politicians. The politician's job is to understand politics. That's what they're paid huge amounts of money for. And these people believed the Tories. They believed Boris Johnson. I understand ordinary members of the public believing Boris Johnson, even though he's a compulsive liar. But I struggled to understand why the Democratic Unionist Party would throw their support behind Brexit and throw their support behind the likes of Boris Johnson or the ERG. These people have been proven to be liars. Maybe they believed that this was the one time that Boris Johnson would tell the truth. They campaigned with him, they welcomed him to Northern Ireland, they had him speak at their conference, and he was a compulsive liar. He was telling them things that I saw as incompatible, contradictory. Boris Johnson was saying, we're not going to put a border on the island of Ireland, we're not going to put a border in the Irish Sea. But we're going to leave the single market and the customs union. And the DUP bought this. The DUP bought into a lie, and now Arlene Foster has suffered the consequences of that. Now, the problem is not just Arlene Foster, the problem is the DUP as a whole. And what's going to happen over the next number of weeks and months is the DUP is going to be torn apart, because there are two wings. There's the far right, extreme lunatic fringe, and there is the more moderate part of the party. Arlene Foster represented the more moderate part. Who could possibly replace her? Well, a possible replacement is a man called Poots, Edwin Poots. This is him on the screen. I want to read some of the quotes by Mr. Poots in the past, and they're quite self-explanatory. It says here, this is from Matthew Thompson from LBC. He wrote, so Edwin Poots, darling of the traditionalists, is favourite to be the next DUP leader. For those who don't know him, and a short introduction to the man in his own words. So on the age of the earth, Mr. Poots said, my view on the earth is that it's a young earth. My view is 4000 BC. So he's what we call a young earth creationist. He believes that the earth was created in 7 days, 6,000 years ago. On the Big Bang, it says here, you're telling me that cosmic balls of dust gathered and there was an explosion? We've had lots of explosions in Northern Ireland and I've yet to see anything come out of it that was good. Okay. It's going to get worse. Poots on gay civil partnerships said, basically it's unnatural in the first instance and an abomination in the second instance. On adoption, in regards to gay adoption. He says here, the natural order, whether one believes in God or evolution, is for a man and a woman to have a child, and therefore that has made my views on adoption very clear and on raising children very clear, that it should be a man and a woman that raises a child. In regards to his former boss, Arlene Foster, he said, this was back in 2016, not 1816, but 2016. He said, her most important job has been and will remain that of a wife, mother, and a daughter. So a woman's place is in the home. A woman's place is not, according to Mr. Poots, is not in the workplace. A woman's place is certainly not in public office. This is going to be the guy that's going to replace Arlene Foster as the new leader of the DUP. And I actually welcome it, because it's going to destroy the DUP. The DUP have not been a force for good in Northern Ireland. They've been a force for the opposite. This is going to drive more and more people to the moderate Alliance Party, I'm sure. It's going to be more and more difficult for the DUP to recruit people, because this is an extreme position. It's like UKIP. This is the type of politics we're talking about. Arlene Foster, I think, was a victim here. She agreed with Boris Johnson. She believed in Boris Johnson. I think that was a very big mistake. You know, you're a politician, you should know better. You should know a charlatan when they come along. But this is the future for Northern Ireland. I think what's going to happen is Sinn Féin are going to benefit from this. You're going to see the Alliance Party benefit from this. The Northern Ireland Protocol is safer now, because unionism is going to split, and any challenge to the Northern Ireland Protocol will be diminished. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons. You ensure that this channel continues to exist. I'm eternally grateful for all of your support. If you join Patreon, you will receive instant access to our Discord server, where we have both audio and video chats. You can chat with me and other patrons, where we discuss important and non-important issues. Becoming a patron per month costs about the same as a large coffee, so why not check it out?